I want to talk about how the pandemic affected the addicts around the world. See, addiction is a disease of isolation. So, when we first start out with drinking, drugging, whatever, it's a party, it's fun. Okay, you go out with your friends, you have some drinks, or, excuse me, take something to make the party a little bit better. And it's all fun and games until other people start to notice that there might be a bit of a problem. And some of your closer friends tell you something like, you need to slow down a bit. Quit putting that stuff in your body. Or, you're going to have a problem here. Okay, well, we don't want to hear these things. So we begin to stay away from comments like that. As things get worse and more comments are being made, eventually you kind of stay away from people when you're using. That's a problem. When you start isolating, that's when it's becoming a bigger issue that needs to be addressed. So, when the pandemic hit and the world shut down, first of all, it wasn't good for anybody. I don't care who you are. It was horrible. But for addicts, we were forced into the very thing that makes our problem spiral even worse. Isolation. We couldn't go to work. We couldn't go anywhere. Couldn't even have a party at your home. 10 people or less? 6 feet apart. That'll drive the most sanest of person nuts. Because that's not what we are built to do as humans, okay? So we all went a little bit stir crazy. But with addicts, it gave us a perfect excuse. I know it did for me. Cool. I can't go to work. I can't go anywhere. I have nothing else to do. Nothing that I really can do except sit at home, so might as well have a drink. Enjoy the day as much as all this crap is horrible. Enjoy the day because, the pandemic's gonna wind down and it's not gonna be that long that we're all isolated, just a month or two. Yeah, right. We all found out that was wrong. And the longer that we were forced to isolate from each other, the worse some of us got. Now, there were people that didn't really have a problem at all. Would not have called themselves addict. Nobody really would have called them an addict. They weren't one yet. But because of isolation and they were having fun, maybe they became one. Because that's where it starts. At least for a lot of us. On the other end of the spectrum, you had people who had been in recovery for years of sobriety or being clean, living a healthy lifestyle, thrown back into isolation. Now, okay, they'd been through rehab, they had been in recovery, they had it pretty much figured out. So how did they end up back there? Well, simple. A lot of those people had a support system of meetings, whether it be AA, Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery. There's all kinds of stuff out there. It's not just AA anymore. Well, now all of a sudden, they can't go to meetings. And a lot of them, that's really what kept them going with living this healthy lifestyle. Now all of a sudden they can't go. They're cut off. Back to what they knew so long ago and had worked so hard to stay from. They fell. And then they couldn't go back to get help right away because everything was closed. And a lot of people were scared to go to the hospital because they didn't want to wind up sick. Heck, a lot of rehabilitation facilities and even at the hospitals, they were shut down for quite a while because that was not the prime necessity for the world right then and there. Understandably speaking, but it didn't help those that needed it. Now, in the middle between those that weren't addicts before and those that had been in recovery for were people like myself, where the problem had already started. I had already been drinking for a number of years, by myself at night, every night. But when everything shut down, I'd wake up in the mornings and I was like, well, I can't go to work. I can't go anywhere. Well, so that means I don't have to drive or do anything in public. I can't be around public. So I'll have a drink and try to enjoy the day. Okay. That led to a bigger problem for me because then I started drinking more, which developed more of a tolerance. And the longer we stayed in isolation, the worse it was. The more isolated emotionally I became. Even when it was nice outside and I might see some other people walking up and down the street. Okay, I'm outside, I'm enjoying some time. But because of the nature of the disease and forced into isolation, you know, the mental crap that happens to the brain with addiction really started to spiral for me. To the point that I did wind up in the hospital at one point, trying to kind of fix my kidneys and my liver a bit. And so it was okay. I realized that there's a problem to the point that I want to fix it because the pain of the addiction is getting to be a little bit too great. But guess what? I can't go anywhere to get the help. I still wasn't really accepting the fact that I needed help in the first place. So I was trying to do it at home alone. I would detox myself at home. Not recommended medically, not recommended to detox from alcohol by yourself. Because if it's bad enough, you can die. I just felt like death. I was looking a whole bunch of stuff up to see if I could possibly manage this on my own, and I did, but then I fell back into it, to drinking, and then a week later, try again, get a few days under my belt, fall off. Eventually, I got to a point where I said, okay, I can't do this by myself. By that point, things with the pandemic were starting to wind down. Parts of the country were starting to open up, Where I'm at, we were still completely shut down. But I was able to get in touch with some facilities and figure something out to where I could get in to some help. Now, the struggle there at that point was facilities were finally starting to open up. Now they were being bombarded by all of these addicts that needed to get into recovery because now they could. And I mean, the wait lists were months out. I found a facility for myself that would do intensive outpatient that I could get into right away. So I was fortunate in that regard. But if you think about all of these different dynamics, not just being isolated, but the factor that even when you wanted help, you couldn't get it, that affected all of us. People that were in the rooms of recovery support systems were watching their friends fall left and right due to this. So that's just my perspective. I'm only one person. You talk to an addict and they'll tell you, yeah, I watched people fall. Yeah, I fell myself. Yeah, it became a struggle. Because the isolation is our downfall. It's our biggest downfall. And the entire world was having a hard time coping with it. Now you take people that don't know how to cope in a healthy way in the first place, and you add all that, well, that's just a recipe for disaster. So, with that being said, the world isn't done completely opening up, but it's made one heck of a turnaround already. So, don't isolate anymore. Get out there, talk to somebody. Even if you're not ready to say the words, I need help, that's fine. At least just get out there. Not to a bar, not to a party. Don't do that. But go out where the world can see you a bit. Get some fresh air. Go to a restaurant and allow people to see you. When other people see you, you can begin to see yourself a little bit. A little bit. So get out there. Enjoy being outside again, out in amongst other people again. Find the joy in other people. Even if you're the type of person that says, I hate people, people suck. Try it anyways. Go walk your dog in a park. How about that? Play with your cat outside where people can see you. Just do it where people can see. And quit isolating. So, with that being said, take care of yourself, stay safe, get healthy.